All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crystal Ball Fantasy Sports. I am your host, Jack Daly. We are back for another mock draft. As you can see, I am in another location right now. I think I mentioned last time that I just moved to a cabin in the woods. I'm just making sure I'm on the right Wi-Fi. Yep, I'm on the right Wi-Fi. Um, I noticed that there's another Crystal Ball Sports on YouTube, but they're pretty inactive. And right now I'm focusing mainly on fantasy, although I've been hitting some bets recently that I haven't been posting about. But we're sticking with Crystal Ball Sports, Crystal Ball Fantasy right now. If another better idea comes to me, I might change the name, but I got some decent viewage on my last video. I mean, I have another channel, Mythic Existence is my podcast, and I already have more views from my last mock draft than I do on all of my videos on that other channel, except for one, I think. So I was like, you know what? We're going to keep on grinding. We're going to keep on going. And I'm really excited for today's episode. We're going to be doing a standard scoring system draft. I know that half PPR and regular PPR, full point PPR, I guess, what most people call it, is the preferred scoring system. That's my preferred scoring system. But I still actually play in some standard leagues. And so I'm sure some of you do too. So we're going to do another sleeper draft from the 8th slot, I believe is where I'm going to be going from. And we're going to see what kind of team we can create. In standard leagues, it's very, very important to have good running backs. It's always important to have good running backs, but especially in standard, like the receivers aren't getting points for their catches. So naturally, their scores are lower than the running backs. And, pass catching running backs are slightly downgraded, but running backs are very important. A couple of years ago, had a really, really good team where I started Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, but I drafted Aaron Jones in the 3rd and Chris Carson in the 4th. And Aaron Jones was, I think RB2 or 3 that year. So you really, really have to hit the running backs if you don't draft one, especially in the first round. But we'll see what ends up happening. As per usual, I'm just going to go in there with a blank slate. If Kelce is there in the 2nd round, I might take him. Also, I wanted to say I'm sorry for this. I've got like a glare behind me and it's coming off of this painting. But like I said, I don't really have my own space set up right now. I don't have an office like I used to. A lot of things in my living arrangement right now are in flux, but it's the content that is important. I don't have the perfect video camera yet. We're working up to it. If you give me more views and I can afford that kind of stuff, we'll get it. But let's go ahead and get into the draft proper. So, like I said, we are going to be in a standard league draft, 10 teams. The roster construction is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, a kicker, a defense. And I did some decent defense research for this episode. So we'll try and get you something good. And 4 bench spots. So I'm drafting from the 8th spot. And let's go ahead and start. So Christian McCaffrey, as per usual, is the first drafted. 4 running backs start us off. Devontae Adams is drafted with the 5th selection in this draft. Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara. I'm not going to list everybody off, but that is who has gone so far. And I'm definitely looking running back. I already started one of my previous videos off with Ezekiel Elliott, but that is really who I'm looking at. I'm kind of afraid of Saquon Barkley this year. I'm not going to lie. I haven't barely drafted him in any of my mock drafts. He could end up as the number one running back, but I'm just afraid of his health. I'm afraid of the Giants' offense. He's not doing a lot in practice as of right now, at least the last that I've heard. Aaron Jones would be the second running back that I would look at. Let's just take a look at wide receivers. Tyreek Hill is there. Tyreek Hill would be my selection if I were to go wide receiver. But like I said, you really have to start off with a good running back. And I'm going to take Zeke. I've been watching him in Hard Knocks. He looks great right now. And he kind of seems like he's got a new sort of youthful attitude. I don't know if that's just Hard Knocks and I haven't seen that side of him, but I mean, he's hitting big plays, catching wheel routes, taking, just standard runs to the end zone very regularly. I'm big on the Cowboys offense as long as Dak can get healthy. But we're going to start off with Ezekiel Elliott. Probably should have made the timer more than 2 minutes. Travis Kelce goes right before us. And so that would have been my pick, would have been Kelce. Kelce or Aaron Jones would have been my dream guys to get back to me. But wide receivers, at this point in the draft, the second and third picks are always very influential for how your draft turns out moving forward. And so there's running backs and wide receivers that I like right now. I'm not considering quarterback or tight end. If I am to pass on a wide receiver in this spot and take a running back, then I'm going to have to consider what kind of wide receiver I'm going to hope to get back. That is probably going to be a lower end wide receiver one like Allen Robinson. It's a possibility that somebody like Justin Jefferson could be there. I would be very glad about that. But running back, if I were to take a wide receiver here, that's kind of a risk. Then we're in kind of the Chris Carson, David Montgomery range. And so if I am to take the wide receiver, I'm kind of taking a risk at the running back. So let's think. Would I rather have? It's kind of tough between Diggs and Ridley for me. I might actually take Ridley above him. Would I like Ridley and Montgomery, or would I like Austin Eckler and Allen Robinson? I'm going to take Austin Eckler because I said that running backs are so important in standard. So we're going to go Eckler just for the fact that if this was half point PPR or full PPR, I probably would have taken Ridley. That's a really hard position. I really wanted Kelce there, but I just didn't think that I didn't think that I would be in a good situation had I taken the wide receiver. So Montgomery did come back. So did J.K. Dobbins. I have Dobbins above Montgomery in my personal rankings. Let's take a look at the wide receivers. Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson. Those are still guys that I like a lot. So I think that move actually turned out working. I think we were in a decent position either way. But in this spot, we have 4 draft slots in between this pick and the next. So looking at the wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb is somebody who I would really like at this next spot. Running backs, there's actually several. I would be happy with Dobbins, Montgomery, or Chris Carson. And then Darren Waller is still available. So that's definitely a possibility. But I don't know if I want to wait at wide receiver any longer because this is for me the lower end of that wide receiver one. So I think what I'm going to try and do is take McLaurin and then slot in either Waller or hope that one of those running backs get back to me, or even CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb might be my choice. I love Terry McLaurin this year because he's been a yardage monster, and I think he can go up in his touchdown totals. And I think that the fact that Fitzpatrick is there is going to help the offense. So I'm going to take McLaurin. Carson, Dobbins, Sanders, and Josh Allen go. So now there's 3 players that I'm really choosing between. Actually, 3 or 4, because Allen Robinson is still there, as well as CeeDee Lamb, David Montgomery, and Darren Waller. So I feel like I'm off to a solid start, but I don't know if I'm off to an amazing start. And the player that I'm really thinking about that can really take me over the hump, I think, is going to be CeeDee Lamb. McLaurin, I think, is fairly safe. I don't think he's as safe as Allen Robinson, but the ups. I play fantasy football to win the league, not to come in second place, nothing like that. Allen Robinson's going to be a very, very, very solid wide receiver. He's somebody that I'm going to be trying to get in drafts, especially when I go running back. But CeeDee Lamb is a player that I think could take a giant leap and possibly be a top 5 wide receiver this year. Again, you've seen him on Hard Knocks making insane plays. Right above him, Amari Cooper is questionable. He's injured right now. CeeDee Lamb is just an absolutely amazing talent. I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb. Terry McLaurin, drafting him in that 3rd round is just, he's kind of one of those players that, like, I think that he's going to be great this year, but just drafting him as my wide receiver 1 doesn't feel amazing for some reason. And there's certain players that are like that in fantasy football. I almost think I would have felt better going with Allen Robinson and having that locked in top 12 type player, and then going with CeeDee Lamb. But there's, again, these first 5 rounds, there's just great players. Running back wise, I love a lot of these guys. Chase Edmonds, maybe I'll take, not with this pick, but just in this draft. Mike Davis, Javonte Williams. But the fact that we have Eckler and Elliott, I feel pretty comfortable about it. Tight end, I'm not quite ready for tight end here. Hawkinson, Andrews, I like them, but not more than some of the players that are available. For me, the pick here is Tyler Lockett. And I could be going to kind of boom bust. These guys I'm taking are all very explosive players, I would say. Not necessarily boom bust, but kind of big play potential sort of guys. They're not I guess PPR machines. McLaurin, like I said, is a yardage monster, but I'm going to take Tyler Lockett. I think he's one of the best values in fantasy football this year. Keep my roster up for you. A lot of people got hurt by him last year because he was so up and down, but being able to slot him in with that possibility of the huge games is just such an intriguing thing to have on your fantasy roster. So Pitts is gone. The tight ends are still available. And this one's a tough one because I really like Cooper Kupp. And the running backs aren't great. Take a quick look at the quarterbacks. 6th round is, for me, about the range when I start thinking about quarterbacks, but I'm not quite ready for it. I am going to want more running back depth for sure at some point, but I'm just not quite ready to splurge on any of these guys. For me, this draft is kind of working out in a certain way that I might like to actually take a tight end or a quarterback in these next two picks just to have a really great player locked in on my lineup. And I've done a lot of drafts so far where I've been taking Tannehill and Brady. I think that might be a nice exercise to see what happens when you draft kind of maybe a tier up of a quarterback. I don't think that I really want to draft Andrews or Hawkinson here. It's very, very intriguing, but just the quality of receiver that's left is kind of pushing me away from it. I'm really intrigued by Cooper Kupp. Oh, oh my gosh. I almost missed the timer on that one. I was at 1 second, I'm pretty sure. Too much analysis there. The reason that I drafted Cooper Kupp is I think there's a possibility that we look back on this year and the Los Angeles Rams were that big pop team offensively. I think that people sometimes overvalue Matthew Stafford a little bit, but I think he's a big upgrade from Goff, and Goff has been able to sustain Kupp and Woods in the past. And Kupp was a little bit unlucky with his touchdowns last year. And so, again, I'm betting on some touchdown regression, positive regression. But I think that he's going to be able to come back. So we have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts, all available. We only have 2 running backs so far, no tight end. We've been all on the running back and wide receiver train so far. Taking a quick look at the running backs that are available. Mike Davis, Javonte Williams, Damian Harris. Damian Harris is one of those players that gets an upgrade in standard because he's not a pass catching back, so you don't have to rely on that pass catching work. The thing is that if Prescott or Wilson were here, I would take him. Herbert, I probably would have thought about him. Aaron Rodgers, coming off the MVP year, he might be out for vengeance again. But I don't love him so much more than I love Hurts or Brady or Tannehill. So I think that I'm going to take Chase Claypool. Let it come around, and we'll see if I can get Jalen Hurts. Now, this is a position I said I wanted to take a quarterback with one of these picks, but it's just so hard. There's so many good running backs and wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams. I've got 5 great receivers. And let's just take a quick look. I can't see the whole board, but every team besides team 1 has quarterbacks so far. And Brady, Tannehill, and Hurts are still available. I would be happy with all of them. If I had another running back on my squad, I would take Jerry Jeudy here because I think that Jeudy is amazing. Like I've said, Broncos are my team. I'm not a homer, except for you might think otherwise seeing where I'm going to go with this pick. But I think that Jeudy is going to be an amazing talent. I think he's in for a big year. But we've only got 2 running backs. We need some depth. Javonte Williams is a player who by the end of the season could be an absolute monster and be that huge running back that you can slot in that might be somebody that could really win you your league. He could not be. This is why we're Crystal Ball Fantasy Sports. We're trying to predict the future. But I've got Eckler and I've got Zeke. I've got 2 very solid players. I think I'm going to shoot for the moon and take Williams. Harris is another player that I really like. But I'm going to take Williams. We'll get the quarterback next time, and we'll start thinking about some tight end depth as you hear my Xbox going off. Daryl Henderson was available. Oh my gosh. Okay. Somehow Daryl Henderson was available in the 8th round and I didn't even see him. That's a big mistake. I really wish I would have noticed that because I would have drafted him there without a shadow of a doubt. But that's why, okay, lesson there. Scroll, do some scrolling, see if you're missing out on anybody. I figured that Daryl Henderson had been gone since the 4th round, but somehow he's available. All of the quarterbacks are still here. The team in front of me, both of them have quarterbacks. I could probably wait another round. It's a very risky game, but let's see. Okay, we still have some great players available. I'm gonna have to take a tight end here in a little bit. Let me just take it. Look, yeah, everybody has tight end. Everybody has quarterback, besides team one. So I've got to take a quarterback after this pick. But Brandon Cooks is a clear number one. Tyrod Taylor is probably going to be his quarterback. Deshaun Watson, why did you have to do that? I think Brandon Cooks is another one of those really, really valuable late round picks. So I'm going to take Brandon Cooks because he's the clear number one. He's going to be a focal point of the offense every week. And so I think that he's a great value. We'll take the quarterback here. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts. The reason I'm going to take Jalen Hurts is because he could be that monster running quarterback, and we know how valuable they are. In the games that he was playing last year, he was putting up massive fantasy points. Think about, there was sometimes when he was in college, I know it's college, but it was like, dude had like 40, 50 fantasy points by halftime. And I know it's not, first off, I gotta say, like, we need to have more fantasy in college football. I don't know why it's not a bigger thing. Like, college football, we need to have more fantasy. There's just so many players probably, but if we could focus it a little more, Jalen Hurts would have been the most amazing fantasy player while he was in college. He adds so much with his legs. He was sick today, but I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts, and then we're gonna probably have to draft a tight end and maybe get another depth piece at running back, depending on which wide receivers are available, because there's going to be receivers. So you can see here, quarterbacks, tight ends, they're going 10th, 11th round. I'm playing the waiting game. Depending on what league I'm in, I've waited pretty long. So I'm going to take my tight end just to make sure. Tyler Higbee is going to be my tight end. And the reason is that they got rid of the other tight end that had always been kind of blocking his production, whose name I'm forgetting right now. Gerald Everett on the Seahawks now. The reason I like Higbee is he's shown that he can be a top elite tight end before, scoring wise. And again, he's going to be on the Rams, could be that pop offense. If Stafford was there, if he was around later, I could have paired him with him to go along with Cup. I'm going to take Higbee, and we'll see who comes around. I haven't quite looked. I've been focused mainly on quarterback and tight end these last couple rounds, so I haven't been looking elsewhere. At running back, we're really, really thinning out. I'm going to probably wait. Ooh, you know what? So this is my last position pick. I'm going to be going with my defense and my kicker. I feel great about my wide receivers. I wish I had a little bit higher end of a wide receiver one outside of McLaurin, but I think it's okay to have him there. But I'm going to take Philip Lindsay because he could be not the bell cow, but he could be the clear starting running back. Again, the Texans, they're not going to be good, but to get the number one running back this late, I'll take Phil. There's still a lot of great players there. Antonio Brown, Marvin Jones, Henry Ruggs, but I'm just a little bit worried at the depth of my running back, considering especially that Javonte is probably going to be a backup. So, like I said, I did some defense research. Oh, and okay, 49ers are going to be my pick. Let me switch over real quick. Oh, I thought I had this pulled up. 49ers are playing against a really weak team week 1. If I could just pull it up, I wonder if it says even. I think it says on Sleeper. I'll check at the end. I'm going to take the 49ers just because I remember checking. They have a really weak defense or offense that they're going up against. You could say I should have drafted Bucker there. That's definitely possible. I'm going to see. I'm going to pull up the rankings real quick. See what highest ranked kicker is still available. So far, we've got Koo, Tucker, Bucker, and Gold. Ryan Suckup is pretty far down. I'm gonna take Suckup. He's a very well. I was gonna say Will Lutz has been a staple, but no. For me, it's probably between Suckup and Crosby. I'm gonna take Suckup. He's been a very just steady player for quite a while. So that's the end of the draft. And looking over it, we've got Jalen Hurts, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb, Higbee, Lockett, Cup, Suckup, San Francisco. Got some great bench pieces. Claypool off the bench, pretty good. Javonte Williams might come through in the end. Brandon Cooks, Philip Lindsay. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's just go revisit this 2-3 turn real quick. Okay, so I've got Eckler and McLaurin. Would I rather have Eckler and McLaurin or Ridley and Carson? That's tough. Or even Dobbins. I mean, a lot of people are low on Dobbins, but I really like Dobbins a lot. Eckler is, if he's healthy, he's going to be probably a running back 1. A little bit downgraded in standard because he's such a great pass catcher. McLaurin, like I said, McLaurin doesn't feel like he should be my wide receiver 1 because he hasn't been that yet. But I think he's going to take the step up. I think I would still like Eckler and McLaurin rather than Ridley and Carson. But it's really close. It's just a toss up. But having that running back is what allowed me to go and draft 5 straight wide receivers that are going to be the bulk of my production. So I'm feeling pretty good about this team. Please let me know in the comments what you think I should have done differently. If you like the team, if you hate the team. But thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.